Hello West Ham fans, I'm Joe.
I'm Sam.
Welcome back to Have Your West Ham View.
Bosh. Right. So Sunday afternoon, we're back again, 2 in a week.
Crammed them in this week, haven't we? After a week or so off.
Yeah. We've got to get the ball rolling again, and just like West Ham, really pick up some form.
Yeah.
Unbeaten now this year, bar one. So 7
What
games.
was the game we lost?
We lost to Wolves 1-0.
Yeah.
So, but a lot of draws and whatever. But
we'll take it.
We'll take it for now. We're gonna probably title. Well, we don't know if we'll title it "Chat Get Banged,"
but we're going to talk about it.
We're going to talk about it. You can't not start this pod off really without talking about what occurred pre-match yesterday.
Do you know what? I think the whole country up and down is talking about this.
Yeah.
I turned up at football this morning. Everyone was talking about it.
Yeah.
The other team were probably talking about it, and it was probably the same across the whole country.
Yeah. Look, before we get into it, disclaimer: we don't condone violence. But all I will say is, if you walk into any home end, whether it's West Ham or
anywhere,
especially West
Ham,
and you're asking for it like that, you know, you're gonna get it.
Yeah, it's your own fault.
Yeah, he's provoked.
Obviously,
the guy.
I hope the guy's all right.
Yeah.
I hope he hasn't got any serious injuries.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like you say, he's just asking for it.
Yeah.
So.
You know,
And the guy's just defending himself and his dad. So
absolutely, mate. I mean, I know the thing is that's the argument, isn't it?
Yeah.
Cause
is he defending himself or is he not? Or so on.
In the various clips, you see the first couple lads coming over, mouthing off. But then you see, you know, this other guy come around. You give him a little clip first of all.
This is the thing. You can't take things on what you see on social media because there's always another angle and another side to that story. Because from the first video, it looks like he just comes over and gets in his face, and then there's another angle where actually the guy's clicked him in the first place. So who knows? But ignore my fingers. I've just done it at football.
It was actually Joe who did. No. Yeah, but I mean, look, you don't do that. You do not do it. We go on many away days. It can be hostile. It's a London derby. It's an early kick-off, and some people have probably been on the booze and what else pre-match. But from a West Ham point of view, I think it's ridiculous. And I was talking to my dad this morning. He said at Upton Park, you know, they'd come into Upton Park station and they'd be walked down.
Yeah,
they'd be marched down by the police, and you know they prevent it as much as they can. Nowadays, West Ham away fans are walking in via the West Ham
with
security.
the West Ham turnstiles.
It's
ridiculous.
It's daft. It really is daft, and it's asking for violence. Sometimes you can't help it, but you know it needs to be a lot clearer as to where the away fans go.
I think it's the whole thing about the stadium. Really, it's not. As we said on a TikTok the other day, it's not fit for a football team, really. I don't think. No, it just. Don't get me wrong. There's pros and cons, but the whole match day atmosphere, like I know you said yesterday, it was just really flat, and it's like a massive London derby.
For a London derby, I know, and again, you sometimes get it with early kickoffs on a Saturday because people have had a heavy night Friday night, and they've got to get up early doors, and people were coming in quite late. I know there was massive queues again. Another thing that people are getting really knocked with.
About half an hour in the queue, was it? And then another 10 minutes to get in the actual ground.
Well, luckily I got up there a bit early to kind of avoid that. But you know,
I think it's just run very badly, isn't it?
It is. It's getting better. But that check thing, and when you get to the checkpoint,
it's like, you're fine. Go on.
Yeah, but I don't know. We need to look at that. But it was funny. It's funny to see the Chelsea fans thinking they can do that in the home end. But like we said, I hope the fella's all right. And I hope nothing happens too badly to the gentleman who probably spent the night in a cell for the first time.
Yeah.
But yeah, moving on to the game. It started off the opening 20 minutes. They had the ball in the back of our net 3 times.
Yeah, high line. And you could say it's good that we had a high line and we played them offside. You could say it was very risky. Which it was. It's one of them things. If you get it right, it looks great, but if you don't, then you look really stupid.
No, I think a lot of it was strange. I mean, so you talk about the first one was João Felix. I think he went in behind,
dinked it over, and then it hit the post, didn't it? And then tapped it in. Yeah.
That was tight. Emerson was deeper than the back line, and that was really close.
And then Havertz
Havertz then went in behind,
and then they actually scored, didn't they?
That was disallowed. The one where it went round the keeper. But their actual goal,
their actual goal was João Felix.
Yeah.
So they had 2 disallowed and then the one actual goal, which was a good goal, to be fair.
Good goal. Enzo Fernandez clipped the ball over the guy who looks up to Declan Rice. I got to be honest, I think every time Rice pressed him, he crapped himself.
Yeah, I didn't think he looked all that. Obviously, he's still settling into the league, but
by that one moment, I don't think it was too bad.
No, he looks all right, but it's just today's market, and it like 10 years ago he would have been worth 15-20 million pounds. It's just today's clubs just silly money, and anyone can charge anything because they know teams are going to pay it now.
Yeah, that was a moment. That was a great ball, but then you look at that back line, and we was looking at highlights again today, and I feel like we could have blocked the run.
Very static, wasn't it?
I feel like we're not doing the basics, which is, as a centre half, you need to be man to man. You need to be looking who's around you and get touch tight.
Yeah.
Sometimes it obviously can go against you because you can get spun, but I'd rather.
He wasn't challenged much, was he?
No.
Don't get me wrong. No. Felix is a quality player. I think
he looks shit out, doesn't he?
I know he on his debut got sent off, didn't he? But even before that, he looked class.
Was that his first game back?
That was his first game back after Red,
Up for it.
So he was up for it, and I think at Atletico he just wasn't given. We all know what Simeone's like. Felix was 120 mil, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And then he comes in and didn't get the opportunity to play how he wants to play. So
no, you look at players sometimes, and you see with their touch straight away.
Yeah.
And as soon as he picked the ball up in that first half on that left wing, and he did a little ball roll, and you think, he's sharp.
Just the way he picks it up on the half turn, he just knows everything that's around him. Clever player.
Yeah, he looked.
I thought other than the goal, we dealt with him quite well.
Yeah, I think so. Obviously, the initial thing was Paqueta picking up the injury inside the first 15.
I was watching. I just thought, oh, for God's sake!
It looked like a reoccurrence of his shoulder injury that he had a few weeks ago, and I'm worried that could now be, But then it happened, and then he looked like he was just sort of prancing around the pitch for like 2 or 3 minutes. The ball come to him, he gave it away easily, and then he was like, "Oh, no, I'll go down."
Don't fancy it, yeah.
It's easy for us to sit here and assume that he's probably could have carried on, because we did the same about Skamaka in that friendly, and now he ain't played for ages. But
hopefully that's nothing too serious, but it's another disappointing one for him to lose him in the first 15.
And then Master Susek comes on.
Oh, what a player!
What do we say? I'd rather Flynn Downs come on. I would have liked to.
Do you know what? Especially in a London derby. He's a West Ham boy. I don't see why. Don't get me wrong. Souček didn't do too much wrong. I mean, he misplaced a 5-yard pass about 10 seconds after he come on. But that's just what you expect from him now.
It is.
But a West Ham boy. He's like big London derby against Chelsea. Surely getting him, and when he come on later on in the game, he was brilliant.
He knows what it's about.
He broke up play, everything. Souček just sort of wandered around, and
I think.
Do you know what? Go on, sorry.
The one thing he's really good at is when the ball's in the air and he can lead with his elbow.
Yeah, that's all it is.
That is when he's like, oh, I can battle for this. I can knock about for this.
He's like Andy Carroll.
He is.
Loves going in with the elbow. But other than that, he just seems to. He's one of them players that likes to look busy.
Yeah.
He's very good at looking busy, and he gets defended because of his running stats and stuff. And I've seen a few people talk, like ex-pros and current pros. I think it was Troy Deeney, and he said you will always get players in the team that they're not as good technically as other players. They don't impact the team much, but they will run.
Yeah.
And he said whenever anyone questions them, their excuse is, oh, but look at my stats. Look how many miles I run. And I feel like that's what Souček's like.
Yeah.
But Moyes wants that, don't he?
Yeah, it's hard because when you come into a game 15 minutes, whatever it was, everyone's got up to the pace of the game. You come in and you've got to get up to the speed. You're not naive to that. And I think once he'd been on for 15-20 minutes, that's when the mistakes were still there. But I watch Rice when he picks up the ball and he looks up and he sees Souček. He hesitates.
Oh yeah, and he doesn't want to give it to him.
You don't want that when you're in the middle of the park. You want to have that sense of anyone around me, I can spray the ball to them.
Yeah, exactly.
I know for sure when Flynn Downs come, when he didn't hesitate when he was playing the ball through to him.
Like you say, when you got Flynn Downs or Paqueta next to Rice, he doesn't hesitate at all.
No. But what was good was to see Kufal back to his best again. I think
he's been good the last few weeks, hasn't he?
When he's got that bit between his teeth where he's up for the game, he's
when he's aggressive. All he needs is aggression.
He does.
That's what he's best at.
Absolutely.
That's the reason we all loved him in his first season.
Yeah.
And like I say, when he's aggressive, you don't want to play against him.
No, you don't.
And that's what you want from a defender or fullback, whatever position it is, you want. Like, I know if I was a winger, I wouldn't want to play against him.
No.
And I remember when in his first season, I remember us playing Villa, and Jack Grealish had caused us problems like in both games that season.
Yeah.
And Kufal just dealt with him, and he got in his head so much because Grealish just couldn't do anything against him.
No,
and that's how you want him.
You do. He's up against that Mudryk guy, the new Mudryk, and he didn't look all that at all, really. But
he hasn't had a great start to his Chelsea career. He went off last week because he had a cold, apparently, at half time.
Oh, really?
But he's been playing in Ukraine.
Talking of colds, I think Rice, who was actually presented an award at the Brit Awards last night, he was ill. He was ill during the
virus,
game.
And he's like super spreader now at the Brits.
But he's still played 90 minutes at the standard he normally does. But anyway, we picked up the goal, the equaliser, really out of nothing. I didn't think that we were going to be in the game at all. My brother went for a wee, as usual, and missed the goal. And you know, we were saying Kukurea and Badashile, whatever his name is, right?
Badashile or something.
They look poor.
Yeah. Mate, Kukurea is.
Yeah.
He's so poor.
It was poor, mate. He was picking up the ball, and Mudryk was making runs, and he actually got booed off in the second half. By the Chelsea fans. Yeah. But
when did he go off? Did he go off as a sub?
Yeah, he went off for Chilwell. I think.
I can only assume that Chilwell weren't starting because he weren't fully fit. Because otherwise, Chilwell starts every day of the week against him.
But Kukurea is a bit of a pot favourite, isn't he? Because he was part of the Brighton surge.
Well, people were saying that, like you say, he's a pot favourite because he was at Brighton. But also, when you get a player in for like peanuts, which is what he was for Brighton, what they do with a lot of their players, everything he does. If he makes a mistake, it doesn't look as bad.
No.
As when you paid 60 mil for a left back,
and
he can't defend very well, that's when people get the ump.
It is, yeah.
So there's that side of it with some of the Chelsea signings, I think, because they're also expensive.
Yeah.
Anything they do, they get criticised heavily for it.
Yeah, absolutely, mate. But Emerson picked up the goal round the back, half an hour in, out of nothing, as I said. Kufel down that wing, causing problems. Kukurea, no man's land, gets the ball over. Bowen with a flick. Emerson round the back. Brilliant.
I'll tell you what, I think Emerson's been brilliant the last few weeks.
Yeah, I didn't know he's 28, so he's actually kind of coming into his peak now, so he could really cement that spot.
I thought he was older than that.
Yeah, I thought he was early 30s.
Yeah.
But he could cement that spot in that.
I think he's a brilliant wing back.
I do, yeah.
When he was playing in a 4 at the back, I wasn't so sure. No. I mean, he was still performing better than Cresswell because Cresswell's been off it a bit, hasn't he?
Yeah.
But him as a wing back, I think he's perfect to get up and down that wing.
He's got more about him than I thought he had.
Yeah.
On the ball,
he's very confident. He runs at people, which I like.
I thought he was a bit more of just. I thought he was a bit of a boring basic player before we signed him. But
I think that's because how he played at Chelsea.
Yeah.
With Chelsea, it was like the ball tends to go out to the wingers or the wing backs and put their foot on the ball, knock it back because they have a lot of the ball.
Yeah.
Whereas with West Ham, he's kind of got to do it himself, make something for himself. Yeah. So he picked it up yesterday, I know, and he drove inside and won a free kick, and he done that a few times.
Yeah.
And I like seeing that. I think players should drive at people more because as a defender, you don't like it.
No, you don't. I think, and talking of that, Antonio played pretty well in the second half, I thought, yesterday, and then he kind of took him off just after he'd done a really good turn on Badashile, and he was starting to really cause problems. And I think if you're Silva and Badashile, I think you're quite happy that Antonio gets hooked at that point because
100%. Yeah.
I feel like during the course of the game, and I think a lot of people would have felt this that was inside the stadium, other than the excitement of the pigeons that were flying around on the pitch, I thought that both teams were actually there for the taking a little bit.
Yeah.
I thought that there was a lot of instances where there was misplaced passes and it was.
We were playing a high line.
Yeah,
they were a bit ropey down the wings, weren't they?
Yeah.
So we could have
won it.
Yeah, easily.
We could have actually won it when we went 2-1 up.
I don't know. Have you watched back because obviously you were there. Have you watched back the goal that was disallowed?
Yeah.
You should have seen it live, mate. Honestly, it was on BT Sport and the ball in. Rice is about. He must be this far offside. Clearly offside. Yeah. And they go, oh, they're just checking it. It took
a few minutes.
It took about 3-4 minutes.
I couldn't believe it.
And then they done the lines, and the lines are like miles apart. And it's like, what are you checking?
I mean, obviously we went mental in the ground because you kind of feel like if that goes in and we win that game, that's a massive turning point. You look at Wolves, who again beat Southampton yesterday, even with 10 men off the back of beating Liverpool 3-0. I think if that would have stood. and we would have turned Chelsea over at home, I think we would have really pushed on. But we take the point, and as we said earlier, we're now seven games, only lost one. And we build from there, but we really need to start winning games.
Things are looking up, but we do need to start winning games because looking at the league table now, we've played 22 games. We're on 20 points. Everton have Liverpool tomorrow night, and that's not going to be easy for Liverpool. No. Obviously, Liverpool are struggling at the moment. Yeah. Everton got a big win over Arsenal last week. They've got Sean Dyche in. Yeah. And if they win, we go into the bottom three. Yeah. So all of these positive performances and results that we're getting, we're still right in trouble.
Winning wins. I don't know if you've seen this morning, Southampton have sacked Nathan Jones.
Have they?
8
already?
Games. Yeah, it was only about an hour and a half ago.
Do you know what? I'm not surprised though, because he all he done was slag off the players.
Yeah.
Oh,
weird bloke, isn't he?
He's really weird. Yeah. He said someone at football, apparently he said, when I was at Luton, I was the best manager in Europe.
Yeah.
You were at Luton.
When you was in League 1 or 2, exactly. With the stats are compared to what leagues?
Yeah. Every week I see something about him going, oh yeah, well it was like this before I got here, so how am I meant to change it?
He was very outspoken, wasn't he?
He liked to lay the blame on everyone else other than himself. And fair play, no one's expecting him to come in and change things within 2 games, but don't go out and say that because you're just going to annoy people.
He went off of the first few games. He was doing exactly that. He was telling people, he was like, this guy, this, that, and then he took a stance like last week, saying it's all me, it's all my fault. I don't know if you have a look at it. He's like, it's all my fault. It's all, I take full responsibility.
Then the week after, he's the opposite. Yeah,
and it's weird, but he's gone. 8 league games.
Well, Southampton were really stupid with that, I thought, because they got rid of Hasenhüttl, and Sean Dyche was available. And I don't know whether they contacted him or whatever, but they could have gone for him. They went for Nathan Jones, who was, like you say, a League One manager. Yeah. Regardless of how well you've done at Luton, to come into a Prem side that's struggling in the relegation zone, you're not going to do very well, are you?
And then that's why you look down there, and obviously Bournemouth picked up a really solid point against Newcastle, who are the drawing machines at the moment.
Yeah,
they love a draw. But you look at Bournemouth and Southampton. Surely they're the two that will go down, and then it's going to be between us, Everton, Leeds, Forest, and Wolves. I do believe that we will pull away.
I think we'll sort ourselves out. Yeah,
and I think Forest and Leeds will be pulled into that muck.
It's just it's difficult to call because I said to someone the other day, like, this season there's been so many teams where you think they're guaranteed to go down. You think Leicester. Yeah. Start of the season, Leicester. Everyone was saying, they're bottom. They're going to come 20th in the league. Yeah. Then it was Forest. Forest are terrible. They haven't won a game. Yeah. They've got a few results recently.
But Leicester, mate. Let's talk about Leicester because obviously they pumped Spurs yesterday. They've scored 36 goals in the league. That's more than that's almost what we've scored twice over.
Let's have a look. That is one. So only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Only 5 teams have scored more goals than them. They've scored the same amount of goals as Man United.
Yeah. And
they obviously they conceded quite a few at the start of the season, didn't they?
Again, another team. We'll talk about the Arsenal-Brentford game in a minute. But Brentford, they're unbeaten in 10 in the Premier League. Unbeaten in 10 games. But they've scored the same amount of goals.
They've done really well.
But they've got a striker up front who's the 3rd top scorer in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Ivan Toney. Yeah. And if you've got a player who's up top and he's scoring that amount of goals, you're going to be up then in the top 10.
Yeah.
You are. Yeah. And that's where, Ings, who come on yesterday, didn't really look all that. But we know he scores goals. I think he's probably a guy that actually needs a run of games to start.
Yeah.
He Spurs that game. Antonio likes a goal there. But we'll have to see.
So what, onto the officiating?
Yeah, we just touched on the Arsenal-Brentford game. Obviously a massive game for Arsenal off the back of losing to Everton, which not a lot of us expected. You always get a new manager bounce, but for him to actually turn over Arsenal at home was huge for Everton. Yeah. Not so good for us. But I think VAR, we could talk about it every week, but
I think everyone does.
This week it's had a piss poor week.
Because it's VAR and the referees as well. Yeah. They're both, because at the end of the day the referees are the people on VAR, so they're only going to come up with the same stupid opinion that they always do.
I've listed down 3 instances from this week, and obviously before we do actually talk about the Arsenal Brentford game, we've got to talk about that Soucek handball. A lot of people are like, it's off the knee. I've watched it back.
He's a blatant handball.
It's handball, mate.
And I saw the replay. I thought Chelsea players were just whinging when it happened because I thought they were desperate. Yeah. But looking back, it was like he literally saved the ball. And people were saying, "Oh, he's a." And I think the referee was, or the person on VAR or whatever was going, "Oh yeah, but he's supporting his body because he's gone to ground." It's like what? So, by that logic, you could basically throw yourself on the ground and support yourself with your arm. But if your arm blocks the ball, because it was a shot on target.
We need some clarity on that because there's been a few instances. There was one in the World Cup where he'd done like that and it got given. We need some clarity on that because that yesterday, his arms were like that.
Yeah.
He looked like he was stopping the ball. Yeah. It was probably going in.
But at the end of the day, it's payback for when we had our corner goal disallowed at the bridge, wasn't it?
When Bowen, excuse my language, just touched the goalkeeper and it was disallowed. I couldn't believe that. Yeah. Could not believe that.
Shocking.
So that was that in that game.
Yeah.
Unlucky Chelsea. Moving on to the Arsenal game, obviously Brentford had the free kick wide left. They've put the ball over. Ethan Pinnock's actually blocking the run of the Arsenal defender. I think it was Gabriel. Ivan Toney's done a swing round the back. He's banged it into the box. So first of all, when Pinnock's blocking off Gabriel, he's actually in offside position.
Yeah.
They spent 3 minutes looking at that, decided it wasn't. Because they spent so much time looking at that, Lee Mason has then not looked at the next phase of play, which is when the ball goes back into the box, Ethan Pinnock heads it, and Norgard's in offside position.
Yeah.
He then puts it back across to Tony, who taps it in. He's offside. He's offside by. It's clear. You draw the line. He forgot to draw the line. That's what he done. So Arsenal are going to be screwing.
But again, we don't care.
We don't. No,
unlucky Arsenal as well.
Care. Unlucky to them as well.
But at the same time, that goal, there was about 4 different phases of play because obviously the ball come in and like you say, he was blocking him, so he's interfering. And the ball comes back, and then it comes back again, don't it?
Yeah.
So it's like 3 different things to look at, but unlucky Arsenal.
Yeah, but ultimately, it's what's confusing is they spent all this time looking at the first ball in the box, but actually it's the last moment. Yeah. It's the last one where the header goes down.
Yeah.
And he's crossed it in. That's it's clear as day.
Do you know what I do miss? Seeing the FA Cup games, the games where there's no VAR, I love it because yes, it's frustrating. You're gonna get. Even playing football, you don't get VAR when you're playing football like Sunday League. A decision gets given, it gets given. If it don't, it don't.
No.
After the game, everyone's forgotten about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Whereas with VAR, it's like it's more frustrating because it's like you literally have about 5 people that are looking at this, and none of you can decide if it's the right decision or not.
It's human error, and it's always going to be a problem. It's always going to be a thing.
Whereas if you don't have it, you can just accept that it's human error.
Yeah.
Because the ref can't see everything. He'll miss one for one team, he'll miss one for the other. It's even.
We lost the plot yesterday when that Soucek went going in. We went mental because it's so flat in there because you're nervous, and we did sit back all game, and you think, oh, I don't want to lose. Don't want to lose. It's boring, yeah. But then when you score and you go 2-up, we're thinking, oh my god, this is massive, and we were going mental.
Kickstart the season almost.
Obviously, we're down the other end of the stadium, so we wasn't looking across the line. We didn't have a clue.
Yeah.
And then it took 4 minutes or whatever. And then you've got Southampton Wolves anyway, so...
This one's funny.
It's funny. I mean,
ridiculous.
You've got...
I feel for him.
Yeah, you've got Lamina's first yellow card. It was clear yellow card. He's gone down the back of his ankle with his studs. The second yellow card... Do
you know what? The thing is, anyone that hasn't seen it, basically, he wanted a foul, didn't he?
Yeah.
He thought someone fouled him.
Yeah.
The ref didn't give it. The ball then went out off the pitch, out for a throw. About 3 players, so Ruben Neves and 2 other players, go over to the ref and get in his face. Lamina, who actually was asking for the foul...
He was the third one over, wasn't
he? He was the third one over, but he doesn't come within 10 yards of the ref.
No.
He's the furthest away out of any of them.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, the ref ignores the players here, and he goes to Lamina and he says, like, second yellow, you're off. And apparently it was because he was running towards him, intimidating aggressively or something.
Yeah, well, Ruben Neves did an interview after the game. And he said that the reason the ref booked Lamina and not Neves or Moutinho is because he was the third one to come over. What? I mean, and also...
What sort of logic is that?
Whilst I would have hoped that would have meant that, Wolves probably lost the game, or I was hoping, obviously... I think we really wanted a draw in that one.
Yeah.
Or if anything, a Southampton win to keep... a Wolves win to keep I don't know.
You don't know, yeah.
I keep looking at that game and I'm thinking, what did you want? Because when Southampton went 1-up, I was thinking, oh, that's good. I was thinking, actually, is it?
Is it?
And
Yeah.
then Wolves equalised. I'm thinking,
you just don't know,
we'll take a draw.
Well, either way, it's done now, isn't it? And Wolves obviously got the win, so we can move on.
We can move on, mate. We can move on.
At the end of the day, the results come down to us, don't they?
Yeah.
If we want to get out of this situation, we've got to start winning games, haven't we?
Yeah, you can look at the teams around you, but it doesn't matter. You've got to win your games.
Exactly.
Spurs next. Obviously United in the Cup. We've got Brighton as well. Brighton away, as we've already touched on in the last few.
Bogey team.
Look, Spurs next Sunday. I mean, obviously we miss Forest as well. Forest at home just before Brighton. But I went to Spurs away last season on a Sunday at 4:00, and it was just like the Chelsea game. It was you could hear a pin drop in there. Even though there's a few goals, it's just Sunday evening and no one's up for it.
Yeah.
No one's up for it. It's a big
Saturday football's different, isn't it?
It is.
I think the early kick-off Saturdays and the late kick-offs on Sundays just kill people. Because you've either got, like you say, a lot of people go out on the Friday, they've got to be up early the next day for the Saturday kick-off, or the Sunday, it's like, do people really want to be there when they've got work the next morning when you can be watching it on telly?
Yeah, I think it's these big stadiums as well, because the atmosphere is so hard to get going in these 60,000 seat stadiums.
When a lot of people are tourists as well.
Yeah, and that was bad yesterday.
Yeah.
Honestly, the Chelsea-West Ham game yesterday, oh my God. It's great. It's great for the club. That's what they want. They want people...
it's all commercialised, isn't it? They want to sell tickets and they want the brand image to be a positive one.
Yeah, and it's nice. I mean, there was fans sitting behind me, Boca Juniors fans, and River Plate fans as well. Literally all these Argentinian fans were out. Like, I think I saw about 3 different sets or 3-4 different sets of like Argentinian fans. It's great, they want to come and watch West Ham.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, you've obviously been abroad to watch games, and you're going to get it at every stadium. And I'm sure if I went to a Boca Juniors game, they wouldn't have a problem with it.
Of course not.
At the same time, like you say, it's just difficult to generate an atmosphere in it when it's a bit like you say in a bigger stadium as well. Any smaller stadium, it's generally easier to create an atmosphere in it.
And my season ticket, I've had the same season ticket since we moved into the stadium in the same position, up in like the gods, 224, and I've always thought about moving to the lower, because when you go in the lower, higher price tickets, you've got the die-hard West Ham fans that pay good money to be front row. And for me, it's hard. I probably will move in the next few seasons, but the reason I haven't is because I know the people around me, and when you know the people around you, that's what makes your day.
Yeah, exactly.
But then, you get the odd dotted around, like, you even get sometimes the away fans sat in your section, and you think to yourself,
well, when we've been before against Leeds, and the Leeds fans are behind us, weren't they?
It's not what you want.
No.
So, what's your views on Moyes now? Because, as we know, 1 loss in 7, we're getting results, but they're draws. How it is a point.
We're not really going anywhere, are we?
The brand of football where we want that he continues to talk crap about our players in terms of Jamal Baptiste. I think he came out in the week and said that he ain't going to cut the mustard. He's not. He's got a lot of stuff that needs to be changed. Pretty much hanging him out to dry. Where does that leave him?
And he does that a lot. He's done it again about Paqueta last week.
Yeah.
The thing is, everyone knows this stuff. I don't need to be told.
No.
Paqueta, obviously you want Paqueta to come into the team and get goals and assists.
Yeah.
But you don't want your manager going, oh yeah, well we wanted more from him for the price tag we paid.
No.
That's just going to put pressure on him. It's going to wind him up.
I'm all for home truths. I'm all for that.
But there's a time and a place as well.
As a manager, you need to be able to also protect your team.
Exactly, and you do a lot of things in private, and certain things should be private, certain things should be public. And yes, it's boring that a lot of managers will just go, oh yeah, well I'm really happy with the team, and they back them no matter what. But at the same time, they are protecting their team because they'll be ripping into them in the rest of the world. Yeah,
it's heirs to the world.
Yeah. And it was interesting. I heard Mark Noble on Ben Foster's podcast this morning, and I've heard him talk a lot about his time at West Ham, obviously, and he just said that in the change room there's always bust-ups.
Of course,
there's bust-ups of people argue with each other, but to the cameras, I can't remember Mark Noble ever digging out a single player.
No.
Because it doesn't come down to that at the end of the day.
No, you don't.
You're all in it together. It's meant to be a team thing.
And also, if you're publicly slating somebody, that portrays a disgruntled sort of image around the club, and then people come there and think, oh, they've got problems, so we're going to turn them over.
Exactly.
It's a bad image.
Yeah. But going back to your question on Moyes, I think,
go on.
Like I said on the last pod, I'm quite torn because do you stick with what you know, or do you get something different? My personal opinion is keep until the end of the season. I think you'll keep us up. Next season, we need to get someone with just some fresh ideas. You want a manager that's sort of young but also proven in England, ideally. You don't really want to take a big risk on someone else. Do you know what we need? We need an Eddie Howe.
We do, mate. We do.
But obviously, he's taken. So another Eddie Howe. That's my opinion. Keep until the end of the season, then get someone new. We just need some fresh ideas. The players that we've invested in, I want to see him playing. And I don't want to keep seeing him singling out players and create, like you say, creating a bad image around the club.
It's hard, isn't it?
What's your opinion?
We've got the European campaign to come, and this the next sort of 4, 5, 6 months with West Ham is going to be huge because two things, three things. Do we stay up? We really fucking should.
Yeah.
How do we get on in that European campaign? And this is a fact. Rice, well, it's not a fact yet, but Rice is leaving, right? Yeah. So those three things are going to be fundamental to what happens at a club. The cup run, I didn't mention that.
Not holding much hope out for that.
Same thing every year, isn't it? Normally.
Yeah, but at the same time, if we get past this, we've got every chance. So
yeah. United, I'm not holding my breath. But yeah, if we survive, right? We survive, finish 17th, don't care.
Yeah.
We survive at this point. And we invest our efforts into that European campaign, and we go all the way, and the fans get another European tour, and we're out here, we're out there, and we're in Prague.
It's just the experience, isn't it?
Yeah. And then we actually we do have a cup run. What happens in the summer? Brand of football for me. I want to see us playing attractive football.
Yeah.
I want to enjoy going to the games. I don't want to go to the games and think,
we're going to sit back today.
And there's a time and a place for it. And we are struggling. We're in the bottom six. Sometimes, even though we've got Chelsea at home, you look at that lineup yesterday. It was like a FIFA Ultimate Team draft. Right?
Yeah.
It's like, who are these players? Maduki, Baleshi. Mudryk and Felix.
88 mil, 105 mil. Like two of their players cost 200 million
quid.
What
I'm saying, and you're looking at it and you think, you kind of are looking at that team and God, they could batter us today.
Yeah.
So you probably think Moyes done a job on them.
Yeah.
All right.
Don't know. It's so difficult to call, isn't it? Because we'll say something this week and then next week we'll play really good football and we'll beat Spurs or whatever. So. You just don't know what to say.
I'll stick my neck on the line, and I think that we do need some fresh ideas. Not a Pellegrini, not a Benitez, someone with fresh vision for the club. Yeah. Not even a Sean Dyche. Obviously, he's got a job now, but say he still he was free. Yeah. Again, he's a bit.
Should we get Nathan Jones in? He's a free man.
Jesus Christ! Yeah, get him in.
That go down well.
Who knows? What'll happen? There's a long way to go in the season, and there's lots that can happen. But all we can do, as we say many a time, is start winning games. We've got to start winning games. I don't care how we do it.
That's the thing. I think when you're struggling, there is going to be. Don't get me wrong. The brand of football isn't going to be great at the moment because we're struggling. We're low on confidence. But you see, as soon as we do have a bit of confidence again, we've still got the ability to play good football. Yeah. But it's just at the moment you have to grind out games, and
we do, mate.
As soon as we get that 3 points, then we can kick on and play a bit more confident football. But
absolutely, mate. Absolutely.
Should we wrap it up?
I think we'll wrap it up today. Yeah. I think we've covered all the bases for this, and obviously we've got a busy. Well, it's not too bad, but obviously after Tottenham next week, we're going to have 3 games in a week. With Forest, then United, and Brighton. So
we're going to the Brighton one. So maybe we'll do an episode after the Brighton one and do a roundup of all of them. But yeah, thanks for watching and listening, guys. Hope you're enjoying it still.
Yes. Thanks for tuning in.
We'll see you next week.
Take
it easy.